Hello, on Coast to Coast People today we have three singular women. Christina Dodwell, who got fed up with being a London secretary, so she became an explorer instead. Well, you would, wouldn't you? And Julia Hills, actress and comedienne, was the only woman in Who Dares Wins, the Channel 4 comedy programme which aimed to push back barriers of comedy, and now she's in a new play about infertility at the Nuffield Theatre in Southampton. And we also have Tracy Edwards, who has something to prove. She wants to demonstrate that in yachting, women can equal men. So her all-woman crew will be competing in the Everest of yachting events, the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race, which starts in September. First, though, Christina Dodwell.
It's the, it's the things that other people can do, and I enjoy doing when I get the chance.
Well, you can hear all about a new play now, because Julia Hills is another of our guests today. Julia, you're in the Nuffield Theatre in Southampton at the moment. You opened last night in a new play, and it's called
Fertility Dance.
And obviously it's about infertility
and society today. Yeah.
Oh, so what part do you play?
Well, I'm playing the part of a woman who is able to have babies, and in fact has three, I think, at the beginning of the play, during the first two scenes, but decides that maybe there is more to life than just being a mother and running a family. And that's sort of my journey through the play. And there's a character who's my sister in the play, who tries to conceive a baby, and she's a very successful woman at the beginning and sort of quite yuppie-ish and expects everything to happen as she wants it, and she plans her life very carefully and thinks, right, I'll have my baby now because I can just fit it in, between getting promoted and getting the next job, and suddenly finds that she can't conceive. It's like a bombshell that hits her, and the play then explores the sort of problems that she and her husband have, and it sort of interrelates with character, the sister and my husband and all our children and our problems of having the children, and me not being happy about that, and it's sort of that's basically what it's about.
It's billed as a comedy though. I mean, why is all of that funny?
Well, I suppose because as in real life, people in stressful situations are actually quite funny sometimes. I mean, it's when you're at the end of your tether that you behave in probably the most ridiculous way, and actually it's quite amusing. And I think that the writers who did experience an infertility problem themselves, they're a husband and wife team, although they say it's not their story at all. I think they felt that the things that had happened to them and to friends of theirs that they'd met through their problems, and other people that they sort of got to know through the National Association for the Childless, that actually some of those situations were so ludicrous and or so desperate that it was very funny, and you could actually it would put the situation more in perspective if you wrote a comedy about it and sort of had the release of laughter whilst actually also getting the message and the true problems across.
Well, on television, of course, you are best known for comedy, the Channel 4 programme Who Dares Wins. Mm-hmm. We've got a clip of you in Who Dares Wins now. This is you as the air hostess who's teaching someone else.
The main skill is putting the passengers at their ease, and this process begins the moment they step onto the plane with a warm, friendly welcome.
A friendly welcome?
Yes, a spontaneous, smiling greeting, something like this. Good morning. 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 Or good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Or good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good afternoon is technically the most difficult because afternoon is rhythmically the hardest to say. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I see, and this is a crucial skill, is it?
Oh, yes, the ability to say the same two words in an identical fashion 346 times in succession is a very rare and essential talent. If you haven't got it, this career isn't for you, I'm afraid.
Right, presumably reassuring passengers is a big part of the job.
Oh, yes, it is, Philip, because many people are very, very frightened of air travel, so we have to ooze reassurance, even if we're worried about something, like when the pilot's drunk.
Very good. Now, that was one of the clean clips we picked from Who Dares Win.
I'm surprised you found one.
It has been slightly tasteless, and do you ever object to any of the bits when it gets too rude or tasteless?
Well, no, we've always discussed every script and every sketch before we do it, and every sort of script meeting we all sit round and read things, and so usually if there's something that one truly finds offensive, or you say I'm sorry, I can't do that early on, so everything that we do has usually been agreed by all of us.
Do you do the writing in the team?
No, I'm not one of the script writers, but as I said, we all are sort of involved on a script editing level. But it's quite an unusual programme because you only have a small group of writers, 2 of whom are performers in it, Rory McGrath and Jimmy Mulville, and one of whom, Andy Hamilton, is a producer on it, and Guy Jenkin is an associate producer on it, and then there's Tony Sarche, who comes in quite regularly. So you've just got a small group of people and the performers, Philip, Tony and myself, and we're all there working together as a small team, because usually those shows just have a big pool of writers and pick in and pick out sketches. But I think that's what I like about Who Dates Wednesday. It actually is a team effort, and so you actually get a kind of a continuity of style that goes from week to week.
You're the only woman in it as well. How did you achieve that?
Well, I don't know. They were only looking for one woman when they sort of approached me, so that's kind of how I got into it. I think it's sort of, yeah,
You must have beat off a fair bit of competition, I
don't know. I'm not sure about that. But
when's the next series happening of that one?
Well, there isn't going to be one at the moment. We've decided we did 4 series, and then we took the show on tour, and we decided that it was time perhaps to stop. I mean, as a team, we would like to work together in some guise or another. We've talked about a film, but I'll sort of that may or may not happen. I don't know. But we won't be doing another series like we've done before. We may well work on other projects. So.
I mean, you are trained as a serious actress, and we're up for an Olivier Award. Was that right? Some time ago.
Yes.
For The Hired Man, the musical?
Yes.
Sadly, you didn't get that. You were nominated for it. Were you there on the evening of the awards?
Yes.
I mean, I love watching them. And were you one of the faces as they pick you out and you have to be looking...
That's right. And as they say, you haven't got it, you're still smiling. No. No, it's all right. Well, not really. I didn't expect to get it. I was so sort of surprised and amazed to be there at all. It was all such a kind of a shock, the whole thing. I must say, I think it's odd, awards, because in my business, because it's such a subjective thing. It's so intangible. You know, with like a race with a yacht, you've got times and you know when someone's won. You know, I kept thinking there was 4 of us up for this award, and we'd all were doing our best in our own show. We all do such different things, because there was the lady who won it was a dancer, and she was in On Your Toes, and then there was another lady who was doing about 6 parts in one play, and I was doing this very sort of serious part. And I thought, how can you actually compare these performances? It's very odd that sort of you can actually give prizes for who's best out of that. But it's
well, Fertility Dance, which is at the Nuffield Theatre in Southampton at the moment, that might perhaps transfer to London. Perhaps you'll be up for another award and win it. And you'll love that. But we'll have you back again. Julia, thank you very much indeed. Are you a sailor? Are you into sailing at all?
I've only sailed once on a very tiny little boat. I loved it, but I certainly wouldn't say that I've got any experience at sailing. Yet.
Well, you're sitting next to a woman who's a terrific sailor, Tracy Edwards. Tracy, you're only 26, and you have decided to enter the first and only all-female crew for the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race. Why did